So I've been sitting here for about 3 minutes trying to think about what I wanted to say in regards to the terrible news that we got on Wednesday of this week. I am an American. I'm an American, and I'm proud of it. I grew up in this country, and I'm just going to talk about my feelings, and this video might be long, this video might be short, but I wanted to talk about how I feel because it has been quite a good couple days, for sure. I mean, I'm not ever political on this channel, and I don't intend this video to be political either, but this is way further and goes way beyond politics. Again, I always stick to gaming, Call of Duty, and I intend to continue to do that. But I've just felt off the last few days since the news. And you all know what I'm talking about when it comes to the news. The assassination of Charlie Kirk, who was a father, a husband, and from every video that I've seen, a good human being. You know, I'm also a social studies teacher as well. So, and I teach U.S. history for that matter. So I've taught the foundations of America and the Constitution and what it means to be an American. And the thing that I always do my best to discuss is freedom of speech and how important it is in the country that we live in. Because without freedom of speech, there's no country to be had. Again, you know, the beauty of America is it doesn't matter where you lie on the spectrum of your politics. The goal has always been that even if we disagree, we can be friends, we can be coworkers, we can be in romantic relationships. And that is rare. And if you think of any other country out there, I mean, of course, the entire West, Europe, America have similarities. But if you think of other countries out there, they took inspiration from the United States. And that First Amendment, freedom of speech, is what makes the United States special. And I was not alive in the 1960s when we lost great American leaders with JFK, Bobby Kennedy, and Martin Luther King Jr. But they were patriots and they expressed their opinions, and for something like that to happen to somebody that is so close to my age, I'm 25 years old, and Charlie Kirk was 31, has really shaken me to my core. And it's almost crazy to think about that we live in the United States, and that is something that is occurring, or occurred, not just is occurred in our nation, you know? We are not a nation that does that. We have never been a nation that does that. We have always been a nation that prided ourselves consistently on, hey, you know, I don't agree with you, and that's okay. Let's have a conversation about it. That has been, unfortunately, lost in our society. And there's a lot of fear, and I experience this fear. Again, I'm not going to tell you guys my views, but I experience nervousness about sharing what I believe with people that I don't trust, because America has sadly gone away from what makes us so special in that aspect. I know that it's usually the fringes that are the loudest, but the fear is still there, and the nervousness is still there. And I don't have the same level of bravery that Charlie Kirk had. I always try and avoid those discussions with people with fear of losing a friend or losing my notoriety or losing anything of that nature. And that's what makes people like Charlie special, is that he wasn't afraid to do that. And again, I wasn't a huge follower of him at all. In fact, the last few days is the most that I've paid attention to him in my entire life. And again, every video that I've watched of his, he's been nothing but respectful. Even if he's being screamed at, even if he's being yelled at, constant respect, constantly being respectful. And, I could be wrong. I could have, but from everything that I've seen, it's been respectful dialogue, which is the prime example of what all of us should be doing. Again, and this is a message to people who are in my generation, Gen Z, and the upcoming Generation Alpha. We, as all of us, have the ability and the capacity to bring change and to go back to free dialogue, where we can discuss our values and what we believe, and without fear of repercussions or being yelled at or being screamed at, and having consistent dialogue. Now, there is a light. I have experienced myself. There's, of course, no light in death of murder. But I will say this. In my experience, there has been times where there was no reaching a dialogue with somebody, but I've also had plenty of times where there was. And that feeling is a really great feeling, because it feels like when that happens, that is what our country is all about. And it makes me happy when that happens, because I'm like, you know what? Even, if you listen to all the noise going around, if you go outside and you talk to people, you can find common ground. And I think that is something that is hopefully, in the wake of this extraordinary tragedy, it's something that we can all come by, and do together. And again, I know that this is a very uncommon video for me, and I'm really uncomfortable making it because I don't like anybody getting angry. But I'm hoping that by making this video, the comments, if there are any comments, we can have dialogue. We can talk with each other and discuss things, because again, that's what makes America so great and so special and so unique to other countries in the world. Again, as I said, this news hit me almost like a truck. I've been so busy with teaching and coaching and all of that I just don't have notifications on during the day. And I checked my phone and I was like, what's going on? I can't. And then I was like, no way, this has to be a troll, right? This has to be a troll. And then I kept looking at different news sources, different news outlets, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is real. This actually happened. I did not watch the video. And I refused to watch the video. And I've seen a lot of comments saying to not watch it. And I will echo that here. People should be remembered by how they were alive, not by the tragedy that befell them when they left the earth. I lost my grandparents a couple years ago, and I visited my grandma in hospice care, and it was extremely, extremely difficult. And luckily, the images that I have are a hybrid of her in hospice care, but her as she was. With my grandpa, who passed away very shortly after, I decided not to, because I went to his 95th birthday party, and his joy, his smiles, the conversations we had is how I want to remember him by. And so I said, I don't want to go do this, but because I want to remember him for who he was. And that same thing should happen with the Charlie Kirk situation. There are so many videos on Twitter right now of him speaking to people. And I highly, highly encourage you guys, whether you agree with him or not, again, that's not the point. Whether you agree or disagree with him or not, watch the videos. See who he was alive. And see who he was as a person. Because no matter whether you agree with what he's saying or not, you cannot look at the man and say that he's a bad person. You can't. You just can't. With how he was talking to people, I genuinely, I don't think I've ever seen somebody debate that nicely with somebody in my entire life. The respect he has for people is incredible. Absolutely incredible. And again, that's what makes America special. As I said, I'm going to probably be going back and forth and in circles, and I'm just saying what's on my mind. And I know that the commentary is kind of slow and not quick, but that's because I'm just processing everything. And that's been what the last few days have been, processing this truly huge American tragedy. Again, it doesn't matter what his politics are. Okay, it just doesn't matter. This is one of the most significant political assassinations ever in American history, right along with all of the other ones with MLK and JFK and Bobby Kennedy and all of those people. People fighting for what they believed in, sadly gunned down for what they believe. And I hope and I pray, yes, again, I might lose followers for this, but I don't care. I'm a Catholic. I grew up Catholic. And I've done a lot of praying and soul searching this week in the aftermath of this event. I've picked up the Hallow app and prayed for the first... I pray every night, but I've really picked up the Hallow app and prayed from the app for the first time. On Sunday, I'm going to go back to church because I feel a significant pull to do so. And it is in the aftermath of this situation. The reason that this has hit me so hard is I saw a very interesting tweet. And it said, those of you who are impacted in the deepest level from this situation are one in one body with Christ. And that was powerful. Because there's been a lot of feelings over the last 3 days or so that are like, why is this affecting me so much? I didn't know him personally. I didn't follow him. And yet I just have felt this weight on me for days about it. And again, I talked about it earlier in the video, the freedom of speech, and me being a social studies teacher and me being just appalled that somebody died for just saying what they believe. It just that's the biggest thing, I think, for me. But I think, and that stuff bothered me, but I think the thing that bothered me the most, by far, was the video of his daughter going up to him and giving him a hug. And thinking about how that adorable little kid does not get to do that anymore. Again, the kid is 3 years old. Okay, 3. And her little brother is 1. Okay. And out of everything that I saw and listened to on Wednesday, that was the thing that broke me immediately. I mean, I don't have a girlfriend or a wife or a kid, but those are all things that I want in the future. And seeing that shattered me, absolutely shattered me, because people forget. People are so sometimes blinded by opinions and political views that they forget to see the non-political version of that person. And that goes for left, right, center. Those people are husbands, wives, fathers, mothers, brothers, sisters. And I think people forget that sometimes. They have families, they have kids. And never forget that when something happens to one person, it affects many. And ladies and gentlemen, that's where I'm going to leave this video be. I'll end on this note. The people who disagree with you are never your enemies. The people who disagree with you can make you a smarter, more educated, and an overall better person. If you disagree with somebody, take the opportunity to listen before you judge, before you get angry. Take the opportunity to debate civilly. Talk to each other. Again, disagreements, as I'll say one more time, disagreements are what make us special, what makes America special. We do this all the time with video games. We do it all the time. This Call of Duty game is better than this one. This Battlefield game is better than this one. This game is better than this one. We do it all the time with gaming. And we should translate it into everything we do. Listen. And maybe learn something. Be a better person. And again, that's the beauty of America. To anybody who is feeling impacted as much as I am, never forget that it pales in comparison to what the wife and kids are feeling of Charlie and Charlie's friends. Again, I'm just some tiny channel making videos just about Call of Duty, some silly videos. But if you're being impacted by it, we can have a conversation in the description or in the comment section. We can talk about whatever is on your mind. Again, I hope that this video wasn't controversial in any way. It shouldn't be. But it's been bothering me for a few days, and I don't think it's come through in my videos at all. But there's the reason there wasn't a video on Wednesday. There's a reason. And there's a reason this video is going to go up so late. And there's all a reason behind it, and it's because I feel like I've just been really struggling with this the last couple days, which is crazy. Again, as I said, it's because I don't know. I didn't know the man. I didn't even follow the man closely, but I think anybody who has a heart is going to be affected by this in some way. If you're a decent human anyway, you're going to be really hurt. Because again, it's not just about the loss of him. It's what his wife, kids, friends And we should all rise up and be better people from the situation. Be better Americans, be better citizens. So again, thank you guys for listening to this video. I'm still debating if I want to upload it or not. But Charlie Kirk is brave enough to say the things that he felt were true. Then I'm going to be brave and I'm going to upload this video and be brave myself. Again, with this last final note, make sure you tell your family members that you love them. Make sure if you have kids, if you have a wife, if you have a girlfriend, boyfriend, etc., hug them. Tell them that you appreciate them. Call your parents. Call your grandparents. Because life is precious. And you never know when God will call them home. I'll see you guys on Saturday.